Brian Morrison, and I live in Hyannis. My best memories are growing up as a child at the beaches. Both my mother and my father worked for the town of Barnstable Beach. My mother worked at Calmer's Beach, and my father worked at Dows's Beach. So I had my choices of going to either beach every day. So that was my fondest memories growing up. My father was originally from Texas, and my mother was originally from Boston, and they met in Texas at college, Prairie View University. My mother did not like Texas at all, so her family being from Massachusetts, they moved back here and had the first of 7 kids in Boston, and they had a summer house in Mashpee. So after the first 3 kids were born, they moved down to Mashpee, and 2 more were born, and then the rest of us were born here in Hyannis when they finally moved into Hyannis. They just liked the town better. My mother got a job at Nauset High School and didn't want to live in Orleans, so Barnstable was in between her family in Mashpee and Nauset. So I grew up on Rosary Lane off of Willow Street in Hyannis, so over by the railroad tracks, as they say. High school was wonderful. I graduated in 1989. Wonderful years, again, part of the growing up process here in Barnstable. Played football with lots of fond memories of winning, and one sad memory, we lost the 100th anniversary of Thanksgiving Day game. So wide right, as we say. I actually joined the military. I joined the United States Navy right out of high school, 3 days after I graduated. Went to Great Lakes, Illinois for boot camp. And upon graduating boot camp, I got offered a station back in Boston on the USS Constitution, where I spent my first year and a half. So it started out as a great Navy career, ended a great Navy career. So it's a very prestigious appointment, and it's absolutely wonderful. You give tours, you do a lot of cleaning, unfortunately, to preserve the ship. A lot of history there, and it was fantastic. One of my best duties ever. Every weekend I have off, I came home. You just love the Cape. You gotta love it. Upon getting off of active duty, I came home back to the Cape. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was staying in the reserves, but needed to find a full-time job. And my father was working for the town still at that time, but now he was working for the police department as an auxiliary police officer. So he said, give it a try. I started as a summer officer in 1992, walking the mean streets of Hyannis. I joke, I say mean streets. Awesome job. Best job a young person could have at that time, and just it blossomed from there, and 19 years later, here I am. Boy, both good and bad. Obviously, as times change, people change, things change. One bad thing is obviously, unfortunately, there's more crime as times change, and that's everywhere. Financially, I think the town has gotten a lot sounder, spending the money wisely with improvements all over the place, especially in town of Hyannis. It's been a tremendous change. Drugs are more prevalent than ever before, and that's across the U.S. Here, particularly, it's such a small community, you're going to hear about it, and there's, unfortunately, overdoses almost on a daily basis. It's a problem that we have to deal with every day. I volunteered for that. The police officers on bikes originally came out of Seattle, Washington, and it was adopted in Boston and then made its way down here. and I was one of the first. We started out with, I think, about 20 to 30 bike officers, and eventually grew up to 40 officers. And I was in the first group, and it's funny because you think of riding a bicycle, very simple, you get on and go. But we actually had to go to a week-long school to learn how to fall off the bicycle, how to tackle somebody off a bicycle, and unfortunately, if we had to, how to shoot from the bicycle, a riding position. So knowing that you can do all these different things from a bicycle was a new challenge, but it's a great duty. You get to be out with the people, which I love to do, and you're outside, so you interact with the people a lot more. It's very easy to drive along in a cruiser with all the windows up and the air conditioning on in the summer, but then you don't get to talk to anybody. So being on a bicycle, everybody stops you. You talk to the tourists, you talk to the locals, and the kids love seeing us. And me personally, I give out coupons for ice cream for kids who have their helmets on, riding their bikes. We give out little kids badges. So just the overall interacting with people is the best thing you can do on a bicycle. So shows people, shows police officers in a different light. My very first job, I believe I was 8 or 9 years old, and I got a job through, again, another connection through my father, who used to work for the Cape Cod Times. He got me a job as a paper boy. So that was my first job, which was probably one of my hardest. You had to get up before school, which we get up early enough for school, but having a job before and after school, as I remember, I would sell papers of both. So you deliver to the neighborhoods in the early morning, and then we go to the corner afterwards and sell it on the sidewalk. So it was a fun job. It made money. I had my own little allowance. But I had to pay my father gas money driving around in the wintertime. I think the strongest point is the people, the community itself. Very strong, family-oriented people. The government is really strong, and it has a lot to offer. You have the beaches, you have Main Street. There's so much to do. It offers so much. It's hard to pick one thing to, as a main point. But it's funny you ask that. I don't know when my 40 hours is ever over. I do work a lot, and I'm involved in the community a lot. Kiwanis, I'm a big brother with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm a Mason. I'm in the Elks Club. So I do a lot of charity work. But when I do get a chance to enjoy my free time, I like to go to the beaches. I go to Main Street often, go to one of the fine restaurants that they have, and just enjoy the community. My favorite place, the beach, I think. Craigville Beach is probably one of the best that I've been to. Even in the wintertime, you just go and reflect on growing up, so it's a wonderful thinking place. That was actually a very exciting time. Getting picked to travel with the town employees to go to California and Washington to represent the town for the All-American City. That was very exciting for me to be selected for that. And just get to represent the town. It's a wonderful town. Absolutely. There are a lot of opportunities here. And if whatever field people who are graduating, say high school, or even if they go off to college, when they graduate college, come back and can find a job in their field, I definitely suggest them to come back here. There's so much to offer. Wonderful place to raise a family. I don't have kids myself. I did raise two of my nephews growing up here. They still live with me. And they have plenty of opportunities that I've had here. So it's absolutely. One of my brothers, they're all older. One of my brothers works for the town at the town dump. We call it a refuge, I guess we call it. Another brother works for the town of Yarmouth, unfortunately, but He's still my brother, but he works. He's the vice principal at DY High School, and my sister is retired at the moment. So, as we mentioned before, with law enforcement anyway, one of the toughest challenges is our problem with drugs, the influence of drugs on not only the young people, but especially the young people in the town. So that's a big problem that we have to face. Another thing is the size of the town. It's growing, and we can't help that. I mean, a lot of people come here, they love it, they see the opportunities, they see how it's a great place to raise their family, so they want to stay. And as it gets bigger, we have to get bigger. So I think the town needs to recognize that, fixing streets or whatever we have to do, but they have to realize we're growing, and we have to grow with the times. So. My favorite sport is hockey. Avid Bruins fan, so I get up there as much as I can. I actually rent one of the gyms in the town at the middle school and play street hockey every Monday and Thursday night. So if anybody wants to come down and play street hockey with us, it's 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock every Monday and Thursday.
Full contact.
Full contact. But it's a lot of fun. It's open to the public. So if anybody really wants to come down and play, we're friendly because everybody has to go to work the next day. But, but hockey, I love going to the local hockey games, especially at high school. Watch them beat up on Yarmouth and Falmouth. So, Brian Morrison of Hyannis, moving to Centerville shortly.